Man lay gravely wounded by the lakeshore. The next moment, a figure approaches slowly from the dock. He sees the figure dressed as Mouse, holding a weapon in each hand. The man pleads desperately, but it clearly has no effect. Mouse picks up his machete and cuts off the man's arms and head, one after the other. The reason the man suffered such a brutal dismemberment is because he accidentally watched a videotape. The videotape seems cursed. After watching it, the man's skin began to feel an intense burning sensation, as if on fire. The pain was unbearable. He asks his girlfriend to take him to the lake for some wind, hoping to cool down. Meanwhile, inside the house, Sarah calls Lily back, trying to find the cursed videotape together and destroy it quickly to prevent harm to others. Strangely, they search for a long time but cannot find the videotape, so Lily goes outside to check on her boyfriend, but when she arrives, she finds only his head remains. Then Mouse suddenly appears beside Lily, frightening her into screaming immediately, and she turns and runs. While fleeing, Lily accidentally steps on an oversized bear trap, the intense pain causing her to pass out instantly. Mouse then walks over to Lily and uses the trap to sever her body in two. At the same time, Sarah sees one of the videotapes, its content exceptionally bizarre, showing Mouse killing person after person using different methods. She realizes this might be the cursed videotape, so she tries to turn it off, but unexpectedly, the video not only won't shut off, the tape also cannot be ejected. Fearing she would be killed like the victims on screen, she quickly called her father. However, there is no signal here. Ultimately, she can only leave a voicemail for her father, telling him her exact location and begging him to call the police if he hears the message. Suddenly, all the lights in the house go out. Sarah senses danger approaching. Only the television's video is still playing. She stares at it involuntarily for a moment. Suddenly, Mouse grabs her neck, then cuts out her eyes with a knife, finally drawing the blade across her throat. Mouse seems satisfied looking at his handiwork. The scene shifts. The time is now 28 years later. Stu brings his family to a luxurious lakeside villa for vacation, unaware this villa was the site of the Mouse killings. Hours later, they finally arrive at their destination. Stu's eldest daughter, Mimi, however, sees someone she didn't want to see. It turns out Stu discovered she was using illicit substances and her health was deteriorating, so he specifically found her a therapist, Helen, to supervise her. To help Mimi successfully break her bad habit, Stu deliberately rented a villa very far from the city. But when Helen checks Mimi's backpack, she is horrified to discover Mimi is still secretly using the illicit substances. After learning her secret was exposed, Mimi angrily snatched the bottle of illicit substances and dashed alone into the forest. Stu worries the forest might be dangerous and quickly follows her. Hiding behind a tree, Mimi started to relapse and was about to take another pill, but Stu arrived just in time to stop her. The entire bottle fell to the ground, and Stu forcibly escorted Mimi back to the villa. Helen is not only Mimi's supervisor, but also a caring older sister figure. She gently comforts Mimi, trying to help her learn to control her emotions. Shortly after, her mother, Connie, takes her to the bedroom to rest. Since Mimi's phone and other electronics were confiscated, Connie specifically finds a box of videotapes in the basement for Mimi's entertainment. Connie soon leaves the bedroom. Mimi often feels nauseous from the side effects of the substances, so she tries to watch a videotape to distract herself. She randomly picks one from the box to play. She sees Mouse holding a knife, hurting a girl. Mimi initially thinks it's a movie scene and criticizes the actor's poor performance. Unexpectedly, the video content becomes increasingly bloody. Mimi is too frightened to keep watching, but when she tries to eject the tape, it simply won't come out. Mimi starts to get annoyed. Elsewhere, Stu's son Nigel just arrived and meets a local girl, Phoenix. They sit on the grass chatting shyly. Night falls at this familiar dock once more. Mouse is on a boat watching the villa across the lake, seemingly planning a new killing game. Soon, he steps off the boat into the forest, encountering Nigel and Phoenix. However, they are completely absorbed in their own world. Unaware, Mouse has approached them. The next second, Phoenix is stabbed repeatedly by Mouse. Blood instantly sprays onto Nigel, frightening him so much he flees without even pulling up his pants. Phoenix is ultimately stabbed to death by Mouse. At home, Mimi, who was sleeping, has a nightmare about Nigel being in danger in the forest. Because the dream feels so real, she quickly finds her parents, insisting on going out to look for Nigel. But Stu mistakenly thinks Mimi is having an episode and making excuses to escape. Stu and Mimi have a huge argument as Connie tries to intervene. Mimi pushes her away. Connie accidentally hits her forehead on the sofa and gets hurt. Enraged, Stu immediately slaps Mimi, then locks her back in her room. Meanwhile, Nigel, unfamiliar with the terrain, accidentally arrives at an abandoned factory. Mouse follows closely behind, finds Nigel quickly, and uses a chainsaw to sever his arm, then ties Nigel up, preparing to torment him slowly. Elsewhere, Connie feels dizzy from the impact, so Helen suggests taking her to a nearby clinic. But halfway there, Mouse suddenly stands in the middle of the road. Yet when Helen gets out to look, he has vanished into thin air. Just as Helen got back into the car, Mouse had already appeared silently in the back seat. Mouse dragged Helen out of the car and stabbed her in the stomach multiple times, killing her on the spot. Connie, who was still sitting inside, witnessed the entire attack. She was frozen in terror and only thought to flee when Mouse turned to look at her. Meanwhile, Mimi secretly retrieved her hidden laptop from the closet. Images of a killer mouse kept flashing through her mind. She searched online for information about a murderous mouse and discovered the original mouse killings happened right at this very villa. Back then, victims were brutally killed by mouse one by one, simply for watching a cursed videotape. Mimi noticed a photo online that matched exactly what she had seen on the tape, and fear instantly gripped her heart. Back then, the police dismissed the cursed tape as pure rumor and never found the killer, leading to the mouse case being shelved. The videotape was discarded in the villa's basement, forgotten until this vacation by Stu's family unearthed it. After Mimi watched that tape, Mouse was successfully summoned. Legend says the tape was created by a mad scientist. He had drifted at sea for nearly 2 years, and when found, was lying below deck, petting a stowaway mouse. It's said the scientist could communicate normally with mice. Learning the mouse wanted to become human shocked the scientist, but also sparked his intense curiosity. The scientist then kidnapped a death row inmate and experimented using a serum he developed. After many attempts, he finally fused the mouse's genes with the convict, turning the mouse into a human. Though no footage of this transformation exists, some serum leaked onto a videotape, trapping Mouse inside. Therefore, anyone who watches this tape is doomed to be tortured and killed by Mouse. Meanwhile, Connie was still desperately trying to evade Mouse. During her escape, she stumbled upon the gravely injured Nigel. Connie wanted to take him with her, but Nigel couldn't walk. Mouse then approached them with confident strides. Mouse grabbed Connie by the hair and violently wrenched out her spine from her back, then used Connie's spine to beat Nigel to death. Now aware of the truth, Mimi pleaded desperately with her sister Blair outside her door to open it. She explained she was hallucinating after watching a tape, realized Connie and Nigel were in danger, and needed to save them immediately. Mimi's explanation clearly didn't convince Blair, who refused to open the door. Left with no choice, Mimi decided to take a risk and jumped straight out of the second-floor window. When Stu downstairs saw Mimi, he immediately gave chase. Ignoring Stu's pleas, Mimi ran deep into the forest until she reached the abandoned factory. Mimi explained that in her hallucination, she'd seen Nigel here, but Stu searched and found no sign of Nigel, mistakenly believing Mimi was hallucinating due to taking illicit substances again, leading to another fierce argument. Meanwhile, Mouse had targeted Blair, left alone at home. Blair's strength was no match for Mouse, and she soon became a bloody corpse. Back at the factory, after Stu's earnest persuasion, Mimi finally calmed down, understanding her parents' good intentions, and began doubting her hallucinations might indeed be caused by the substances. Stu then suggested going home to check on Blair, leaving Mimi alone by the lake to cool down. But when Stu got home, he found Blair already dead, collapsing to the floor in disbelief. After composing himself, he finally thought to call the police, but as he dialed, Mouse suddenly attacked him, then tortured and killed him in various ways. Mimi, now alone, walked onto the dock and was drawn to a lit-up yacht, curiously boarding it only to find Nigel's body laid out at the stern. The next moment, Mouse arrived on board with a knife, ready to eliminate his final target. Mimi hid under a sofa, holding her breath, not daring to make a sound. Mouse searched fruitlessly and left the cabin. Thinking it was safe, Mimi emerged, but Mouse was waiting at the door, ambushing her and slashing her legs multiple times. Fortunately, Mimi was agile, broke free from Mouse's grasp, and managed to escape the yacht. After fleeing back to the villa and seeing a police car parked outside, Mimi quickly told the officer what had just happened. The officer found the story absurd, questioning how a mouse could possibly kill people. He believed Mimi was hallucinating from illicit substances and decided to take her to the police station for investigation. Just then, Mouse crept up behind the officer and killed him with a machete blow. Mimi used the chance to run inside only to discover Stu's brutally mutilated body. But there was no time to grieve. She had to find a way to escape Mouse. Suddenly remembering the tape, she rushed to the bedroom to destroy it immediately. But her bare hands couldn't break the cassette, forcing her to search the living room for tools. Mouse also entered the house, trying to attack Mimi with his machete. Mouse vanished into thin air right before Mimi's eyes. She thought it was finally over and slowly walked out of the villa's front door. She picked up a gas canister, planning to blow up the yacht. But on the way, Mouse ambushed her from behind. Mouse picked up a gas canister, planning to burn Mimi alive. Too weak to run anymore, Mimi decided to embrace whatever was coming. Mimi turned the tables and killed Mouse. Finally free from danger, Mimi, covered in wounds, left the villa behind. That concludes the full story of the 2025 American horror film Mouseboat Massacre. This year has seen numerous releases of such childhood-shattering films, all sharing one defining characteristic: near total absence of logic, existing purely as mindless horror flicks. Fans of this genre can check out the original film. Alright, that's all for today's share. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.